Greetings, I am the Soviet Warlord, and welcome to my first episode of Stakhanov's Builds, a series in which I recommend some of my own personal weapon and WarFrame setups. Today, I'll be covering the Braton. Not to be confused with the Mark I Braton, or MK1 Braton as the game's designation, or the Braton Vandal. The Braton is a Tier 2 long gun, acquirable from the market for 25,000 credits. It does not require any mastery levels to buy, and is therefore a good choice of weapon to progress to as a new player finishing off the MK1 Braton. It comes with no polarization slots by default. It has a base damage of 20, making its base damage output quite mediocre. However, with a fire rate of 11.3, it makes this weapon one of the fastest firing weapons of its own tier. Its accuracy is also very high, even out to the longest of ranges. A reload will cost you no more than 2.37 seconds, a little longer than average, and with a magazine size of only 45 rounds, means you may be reloading a little more than you'd like without some sort of trigger control. Although the Braton's base damage is quite good, this weapon has a less than desirable ammo economy, and it is very easy to find yourself running out entirely of ammunition on a regular basis, especially when running solo or when running without mods. The Braton is a bullet damage type weapon, meaning that it obeys the rules of armour. This means that without the right modifications, it may well struggle against heavily armoured enemies such as the Grineer in particular. While fighting the Grineer to level this weapon up, it would be a very good idea to aim for the head or other weak spots on their bodies. My build focuses on capitalising on the weapon's damage and offensive ability, while leaving its key weaknesses unaddressed, going by the saying, a strong defence is a good offence, with a small bias towards biological enemies, especially the Infested, as well as trying to iron out its problems against armour. Since the Braton is a jack-of-all-trades weapon, but a master of none, my first mod choice is Serration. Serration will increase the base damage your rifle will do against all targets by up to 165%, bringing the Braton's damage up from 20 to a much higher 53 before any other modifications at its highest tier, making you better equipped to tackle any enemy regardless of the target faction. My second choice strengthens one of the weak points in the Braton's operational chain. Piercing Hit grants you up to 60% bonus damage against armoured targets. This means that opponents such as the annoying Grineer Napalm or the Grineer Bombard are much easier to damage and eventually drop as the Braton takes shape. It will also grant you a smaller, but by all means welcome assistance against all other factions, such as the Corpus, whose crewmen wear an armoured helmet, making you much more likely to shoot through for a much more hurtful headshot bonus. With the ability to break through armour addressed, my next choice makes a nice complement to that hard-hitting power. Shred, obtainable through Operation Arid Fear, or from Nightmare missions, has a dual purpose, conferring up to 1.2 meters of puncture, as well as granting you up to 30% more on your already ravenous fire rate. Metal Auger can allow up to 0.6 meters at maximum capacity, but with Shred, you get double this benefit. You can shoot directly through Grineer shields with puncture, and through other enemies who may be unfortunate enough to be gathered behind them, useful for defense missions where bottlenecks are likely. Interestingly, you can even shoot through Hyena's electric shield with enough puncture. With simple logic, most covers can be shot through to kill hiding enemies, as well as improving your ammo consumption, killing multiple enemies in just a few shots. The higher fire rate will also allow you to cut down large numbers of targets should you get pincered and need to expend a lot of bullets for a quick save. Next up comes the delay tactic for your weapon, which should come in useful should you need to reload without having finished off your enemy first. Cryo Rounds adds freeze damage to your weapon, up to 90% at maximum rank. Besides the obvious benefit of adding more damage to your weapon in general, it greatly slows down any attacking foe. Should they be firing, running, or trying to melee you, they will freeze almost entirely in their tracks when hit with this mod. Especially useful for slowing down a horde of Infested or a heavy machine gunner ready to fire. With this mod, your enemy should become a little more forgiving should you make a mistake in a fight. Next up, we focus on offense against biological targets. Hellfire buffs your torrent of fire with up to 90% extra damage in the form of fire, making you a nightmare to kill for any target consisting of flesh and bones. This effect is even stronger against the Infested, as this is all they are made of, but it will, of course, add more damage to any other faction you happen to face. Any enemy set on fire by your bullets will often stand still, stunned in an attempt to extinguish the fire. Further stalling them and, when coupled with cryo rounds, makes this stun animation last seemingly forever, leaving your enemy vulnerable to further damage, melee strikes, or damage to their weak spots from your teammates. This effect will also be enhanced via the Wildfire modification card. Wildfire is also obtainable via Nightmare missions. It grants a further 60% fire damage at maximum tier, which will indeed stack with the original Hellfire mod. On top of this, its dual functionality increases your magazine capacity from 45 to 54, also subtly addressing the Braton's weaker ammo economy. With a total bonus of 150% in fire damage, especially towards the Infested, you'll have them running scared wherever you find them. In order to complete the royal flush of elemental damage cards, Stormbringer is the obvious choice for my 7th recommendation. Electric damage is the bane of the robot-heavy Corpus forces. With the high level of electric damage possible from this mod, the Corpus MOAs, especially the more dangerous railgun models, will be made quick work of from this bonus. If combined with all the mods in this selection and maximum tiered, it is very possible to get to the higher waves of defense missions against the Corpus, even single-handedly when paired with a viable warframe, such as Frost. And finally, to bring this weapon to an even higher plane, Split Chamber rounds out the build, granting 90% multi-shot ability, allowing for 9 of 10 shots you fire to essentially double up in damage, as this modification allows you to fire 2 bullets without using up an extra shot from your magazine, basically meaning you have double damage for free. Since we're capitalising the damage output of this weapon, Split Chamber makes a very obvious choice. That is my build, one geared towards maximising the Braton's damage output as much as physically possible. With this combination, you can kill almost any average level enemy in just one shot, making an accurate marksman able to kill thousands with a single ammo reserve. A skilled user can kill many at range long before they get close enough to become a threat, especially on defense missions. The Braton, being such a multifaceted weapon, suits almost any engagement. You can't go wrong with electing this weapon anywhere, whether you are defending a cryopod against armies of Corpus, or running and gunning with Loki in an exterminate mission. The Braton can suit any warframe and any playstyle. A true jack of all trades, this weapon can leave hundreds dead. As for a secondary weapon, the Aklato can make a very nice pairing, or, for another high damage pairing, the Kunai wouldn't be a bad choice. However, in order to maximise the full potential of the selection above, you need to attach no less than 6 formas. Although very costly, this weapon will suit you very well should you invest the time. The Braton may not be the best weapon in Warframe, but whether you're just starting out or a seasoned veteran, it will suit any player very well. I am the Soviet Warlord, and this has been an episode of Stakhanov's Builds.